What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to start using an orders table in the database for our application. Up to this point we've just been storing the order as metadata and retrieving this info within the Stripe backend. I'd like to store this info in our own database, which will make our application more robust. For example, we'd be able to check orders from within the admin and later on build out our user dashboard where users can check their past orders. So I'm going to use two new database tables to accomplish this. One, I'm going to be using an orders table, which stores all the information about the order. It's also going to have a corresponding order model, and there will be a one-to-many relationship between users and orders. I'm also going to have an order product pivot table, which will store all the products for the associated order. This will be a many-to-many relationship between orders and products. So let's go ahead and start. So PHP artisan make model order, and let's make a migration for that. And let's go into our editor. Let's set up the relationship. So let's go into the model. And let's just do a new method here. Let's call it users. User. And let's just return this belongs to app user. And let's do the same for our user model. So down here, we can specify a new method. Let's call it orders. And let's return this has many app order. Okay, now let's go into our migration. So create orders table, and let's set up a few things here. So first thing I want to do is set up the foreign key on the users table. So we want to store user information on this table. So we'll do table integer user ID. It's going to be unsigned. It's going to be nullable. And the foreign key is going to be table foreign user ID. It's going to reference the ID on users table. And I'm going to do on update cascade, and on delete I'm going to set null. Okay, and for the rest of them it's just going to be all the order information except the products. So for example, we'll have, string billing email. So basically all this information here. Let me just put something in my cart. Add to cart. Checkout. So okay, so this user ID field is going to be null if it's a guest, and it will have the ID if we're logged in. So we'll do guest. So yeah, the order information is just going to be everything here. So let's go ahead. Actually, I'm not going to make you watch me do that. I'm just going to paste that in. Okay, so I pasted everything in. This should be a table, sorry. And yep, this is just all the information, including the totals, including the discount. And I added a few more fields here. Payment gateway is just storing if it's Stripe, and maybe later on I'm going to do PayPal. Shipped is just a boolean that has a status on the order saying if it's shipped or not, and by default it's not. And an error is it's going to be storing if there's an error here, because sometimes an error can come back from Stripe. So if it's null, then there's no error, but if it has an error message, we'll store it in here as a string. Okay, now let's make a pivot table. I'm going to want a model for that as well, so let's make a model. PHP artisan make model, let's call it order product. And let's make a migration for that as well. Okay, so since this is a pivot table, we don't want this to be plural, so let's change that. Rename to create order product table. Let's also make sure we change this and this and this too. So in our migration here, all we're going to do is store the order ID as well as any product that's associated with this order. So let's just do something similar here. Table integer order ID. This is going to be unsigned and it's going to be nullable. And we're going to have a foreign key, table foreign order ID references ID on orders, and on update let's cascade, and on delete let's set null. So I'm going to do the same thing for the product ID. So let's paste that in. Let me just replace them. Product. And I also want to store the quantity here. So let's just do an integer for quantity. And let's make it unsigned. Okay, let me just go to my model real quick. And let's make sure we specify the table here. So protected table is order product. And we also have to set the fillable here. Protected fillable. Oh, sorry, that should be an array. Order ID, product ID, and the quantity. And we also have to do that on the order model. Just going to paste that in. Oh yeah, and we also have to set the many-to-many relationship between orders and products. So we can go ahead and do that in here. Let's do another method called products. And this is going to return this belongs to many app product. And I'm also going to do this with pivot because we also want to access the quantity. We'll use that later on and I'll show you when we do use it. Okay, let's go ahead and migrate this. PHP artisan migrate. Okay, now let's put this to use, and whenever a checkout is complete, we want this to go into our orders table. So let's go into checkout controller, and where is it? Right here is when it's successful. So right here we want to do two things. We want to insert into orders table, and then we want to insert into the pivot table or the product table. So let's go ahead and do that. So order is order create, and make sure I import this. And the first thing is the user ID. And like I said, if we're logged in, so if auth user, then we want to store the auth, that logged in user's ID. So auth user ID, and if not, then we'll just store null. And for the rest, I'm just going to paste them in so you don't have to watch me do that. Okay, so I pasted the rest of the fields here. It's just coming in from the request. These numbers we were already using before. We have this numbers helper, which gets all of these like totals. But I've added one more thing. Since we want the coupon code, I didn't have that before in this method. So I just added that here, and we're returning it here. So we can grab it here for the code. And this error should be, null, because there's no error in this case. But later on, we also have to handle this case down here where there is an error, and we'll set that error to whatever's coming in over here. We'll extract to a helper in a second. Alright, now let's store everything in the pivot table. So we also have each product for the order. Actually, there should be a semicolon here. Alright, so B for each. I'm back on VS Code as you see, but these snippets have been really finicky. That's why I went back to Sublime. Looks like there's still issues. But let's go ahead and do this. So for each, what is this? This is going to be cart content. So each of the cart items as item. Let's do this. So let's use our order product model, and let's create, we just have to pass in the order ID. So it's going to be this order up here, order ID, and the product ID is just going to be the item model ID, and then the quantity is just item QTY. And let's make sure we import this. Cool. And make sure we have a semicolon. And if we did this correctly, this should store our order in the tables that we created. So let's go ahead and give it a test. I'm going to put one more item in this so we can see that pivot table working. So let's do one more. Let's do desktop 1, add to cart, proceed to checkout. Okay, I'm going to log in for this one, and then we'll also try the case where we're not logged in. I think I have an account. I guess not. Okay, we'll just check. Let's make one actually. User, password. Okay, so now I'm logged in. There's the email address. And let me just quickly fill this out. And we're going to do the positive case here. So a successful credit card. And we'll test out the error as well after. Okay, so hopefully this works. And it did. So let's check out our database. Let's refresh this, and there should be stuff in here, and there is. As you can see, the user ID is populated, and here is all of our information. There's no discount code, so it's null. And here are the totals stored in cents. And there's no error, and it looks good. Let's check out the order product pivot table. So, yep, we had two products in here. We had this, and those are the associated quantities. Awesome, looks like everything's working. Okay, let's try the case where we're not logged in. So let me log out. So yeah, let's do phone 4, add to cart. Let's put one more in. Let's do tablet 5, add to cart. Proceed to checkout. So let's test the guest login one. And I'm also going to test the discount. So let me just fill this in. Let's also make sure it went into Stripe. So let me just check the payments. Okay, there's that one there. Yeah, this is the one we just did. Cool. So back here, so I'm testing two things here. The guest login and the discount code. Actually, let's do the discount code first. Let's do, I think I have one called ABC123. Does that not work? Okay. I don't know why it redirected there. Okay, so this is a $30 discount. And let's see if it stores the discount and the coupon code. Let me fill this out again. So again, positive case. Oh, sorry. And that worked. Let's check out our database. Refresh. There's those two new orders with this order ID. And this time there is a discount and a discount code being passed through. And it looks good. Alright, so let's focus on, let's extract to a helper method here. So for all of this stuff, I want to replace it with a helper method because we're going to need this again in the error case over here. So let's just do this. Let's call it add to orders tables. And we have to pass in the request. And we have to pass in if there's an error or not. So in this case, there is no error, so we'll pass in null. And let's go over here and make a new method. So let's do it protected. Add to orders tables. Pass in the request and the error. Okay, paste that in. And I'm going to change this to error. And everything else is the same. Okay? But now we can also call this in the error case right here and set this to this over here. And that should store the error message in our database. So yeah, let me just do two tests. Let's just make sure that it still works. So I'll just do one for now. Proceed to checkout. Let's just do it as a guest. And okay, so the test credit card for an invalid credit card is this number. And let's see if this works. Okay, we get the error. Let's see if that's successfully stored in our database. And it should be this one, right? Yeah. And there is the error right there. The same error that's printed to our screen. And it's still stored in here, but we have it as an error in our main orders table. Alright, now that we have our database in place, I would like to put the orders inside of our admin dashboard here in Voyager. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing I'm going to do is make bread for orders. So let's add bread to this table. And okay, let's just fill this out quickly. Alright, so I filled all of these fields out. So let's submit this. And down here we have our new orders menu item. Let me just move it up. Should be admin. We want this to be first because it's pretty important in our application. And I forgot to give that a icon. So let's quickly give it an icon. Voyager documentation right here. Okay. Actually, no, you change the icon in here, I think. Yeah, Voyager documentation. There you go. Okay. So now if you click into orders, you'll see all of our orders here. So what I want to do is show the associated products with these orders, because as we've done, there's a pivot table associated with each order. So it's in the view. Let's put it within the view. So right here, I want like all the products here. So we're going to have to override some controllers and some views. Now, if you watch my other video on customizing Voyager, you'll be familiar with this already. So back to orders, let's edit this. I'm going to need a custom controller. So we need this. We need to specify this in our code. Something called orders controller. So let's save that. And now if you go to orders, that should be an error because that controller doesn't exist. And let's go ahead and make it. So within here, let's just make a new one called orders controller PHP. And let me just paste that from the other one. Actually, no. Let me just do this. Paste it from here. Okay. So the only method I want to override is the show method. And the show method corresponds to the view. So let me just go ahead and grab that show method, HTTP controllers, Voyager bread controller. Right, so it's just show. This method right here, let's grab this, copy this, let's go to orders controller, just paste that in, and this should now work. Okay, cool. We also want to override the view. So let's grab that here as well. Bread, so we want to override this read. Yeah, it's the read one. Alright, back into our code. Right here, in our resources, views, here we go. Vendor, let's make a new one called orders. New file, read.blade.php. Paste that in. And let me just see if that's the correct one. Alright, view. Okay, cool. Refresh. Okay. So we have that in place. So here in the controller, I just want to grab the order here. So order is order find by ID. And I want to get the products associated with that order. So products is order products. And let's pass that through. So right here, this is specify products. And this should still work. Okay, but we have that products variable being passed in now. So now in our view, so right after the panel body right here, we can just do something like this. So let's just make an unordered list. Again, VS Code doesn't like me. Come on, Emmett. Okay. And let's do a for each. Products as product. Let me just style this. Margin bottom 10 pixels. And for each of these, we just want to have the product information. So product ID, product ID, and a few for the other ones. So this one will be product name, and that would just be product name. And the next one would be product price, product present price, and quantity here. And we can just do product pivot quantity. And that's why I did that with pivot right here. So we can grab the quantity straight from the product. And yeah, that should do it. Let's see if it appears here. And it does. Oh, sorry. Shouldn't be within the ID. Let me just grab this. Yeah, sorry. I should have made its own section here. Let's go ahead and do that. So let me just duplicate this. Sorry. Duplicate this. And then let's make a panel body as well. Just duplicate this. And now we can put it in here. And that should do it. But we'll name this, sorry, no, this should be outside. grab that. That should be back to normal. Okay, and they should be outside the for each. Right here. Okay. No. Yeah, so we just name this products for this order. Okay, sorry about that. There we go. Let's take a look at another one that has multiple products. So back to orders. Not sure which one's which. There you go. So this one has 2, and you can do more with this. I would definitely encourage you to like make it look nicer and maybe add the images, but all the information we need is here. Okay, the next thing I want to do is color code these rows. When admin comes in, I want to be able to quickly glance and see what needs attention. So for example, I'd like the error row to be red, and for a row that's been successfully shipped already, I want that to be green, and otherwise we can just leave it as white. So we're going to have to override the browse view. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me just grab the browse view from Voyager. So right here, let's grab this, and let's make our own. Right here, orders, new file, browse.blade.php. And actually, let me make sure that works. It should be blank. Okay. Cool. So right here, data type content. Right here. This is where you can set a style. So let me just do background red. See if that changes the color. Okay, cool. So that's where we have to specify the classes based on our data. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do class equals, sorry. Okay. Let's do a ternary here. So data is just our model. So we have something called error, right? We specified that in our order model. So if it has an error, then we want to append the class alert danger, and if not, do nothing. So this one has an error already, so only this one should be red. See if that works. It highlighted that, but it didn't highlight the, yeah, how come? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to define our own classes because there's some specificity, weird errors going on. So let's just do this. Instead of this class, which is a bootstrap class, let's just make our own. Let's call it order error. And if we go up here, we can actually specify a section here called CSS, and let's just stop it there, and let's just put style, and let's just do order error. And let me just grab this stuff here and just put in here, just for reference. So order error would be this, and we want another one called order shipped. Sorry, that should be a class, and that should be this stuff. Okay, don't need this anymore. And let's see if that works. It still does not work. Why not? The background color is still more specific in this class. Will it help if I do this? I don't think it will. Okay, it does. Cool. That's fine for me. Okay, so let's do the case. Where is it? Yeah, let's also do a case for if it's shipped. So let me just grab all this. We can repeat this right here within the quotes. And let's just do data shipped. We can do order shipped. Okay, that's not going to show because we don't have any orders that are shipped. But the idea here behind that shipped field is we get an order and we do whatever we have to do and we ship it off. And once it's shipped, we go in here, we can edit it. Let's close this. And we can change this flag to shipped. We can save that. And hopefully that's green. And it is. So we just have a quick glance of whether or not our orders are shipped and what we still have to work on. And as you can see here, the dollars are still in cents, but I've already done that in my other video, so just go ahead and refer to that if you want to change this to, if you want to change cents to dollars. And also within here. I'm going to do that behind the scenes, but like I said, just check out the other video if you want to do that yourself. So all the dollar amounts here. Cool. So there you have it, guys. We've added orders into our own database so we can view them from within the Voyager admin dashboard. I'll make sure to update the installation script to include all of these order fields that we added in this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.